Perfect. Okay, cool. So this is talk called Stories I Made Up. It's all about things that are imaginary and not real. It's about a lot of personal projects that I've done, and specifically two big ones. So let's run through. So every year for my birthday, I gift myself a project. I hire myself as if I'm a client, and if I have a good idea, like throughout the year, I write it down, put it in my little journal, and I'm like, all right, this might be my personal project for the year. This is my birthday project. I'm going to gift to myself. So I started this in 2019, and I wanted to do a series for my 30th birthday was the idea. And I had this idea to do 30 portraits paired with 30 confessions over 30 years of my life. So I created this series called My Dirty 30, and it was just a whole bunch of self-portraits. I painted myself white. It's like chocolate sauce. It looks all bloody and gross. And created these like really visceral portraits. I've always wanted to do like a gallery show, and I was like, I'll just do one for myself. No one's telling me that you can't. And that's kind of the theme of all the things we're going to talk about today is nobody's going to tell you what to do. Just do whatever you want. So in 2020, I have always wanted to work on a political campaign. I just think it's super fun and kind of tongue in cheek. And so for this one, I host a lot of design conferences, Creative South, which hopefully I'll see some of you at, and then a couple other conferences throughout the US. And so I wanted to host every design conference in the United States in 2020. I wanted to get elected as America's MC and do all the conferences. So I launched this political campaign to get elected as America's MC. I built a fake website. I had functionality for people to like click on a button and it would write a tweet for them and send a tweet to the conference organizers, and created this whole campaign with like videos. At one point, I had like a smear campaign where all of my accounts got hacked and people were like posting videos about how terrible I was, and got to just go all in on this campaign and create all these pieces. But 2020, actually, we'll come back to 2020. So all of these have resulted in real projects and like real world payoff. So this project directly resulted in a project that I did last year. That's actually right over here. Hold on. Ah, my arms aren't long enough. Okay. I got to create a makeup palette called the Presidential Palette. Presidential. And this was something that I got to create because of the campaign that I launched in 2020. I launched it with Bob the Drag Queen and Monet Exchange. And so got to do a cool collab. Again, these personal projects turning into real projects. So 2020, we all know, wasn't the best year for conferences. And so in 2020, I had to shift a little bit. And I had to take my personal project and not have conferences, host all the conferences that didn't happen because COVID was happening. And so everything got canceled. And I talked to some friends, and within a few weeks, realized that I needed to shift. And so this is the preamble of the story that I'm making up for you today, is that a good idea with bad execution is still a good idea. So if you're working on a personal project, if you have a really good idea, that's the core. If you don't have time to execute it, if you don't have the resources to execute it, as long as you have a good idea, you can make it great. If you have a bad idea with a great execution, it's still going to be a bad idea, right? You can't polish a turd. It kind of just like smears everywhere. So I had the idea and wanted to launch this thing of like all the conferences were getting postponed, and then they started getting canceled. And so one of my friends said, "Hey, what if you did?" I said, "What if I did postpone con?" They're like, "What if I did something called cancel con?" I'm like, "Great, love it, let's go." And so grabbed the domains, as I'm sure we all do, and actually decided to do something with them. And within a few weeks, launched CanceledCon. And this is a great example of a great idea with a bad execution, right? It's me in my bedroom, and I thought I want to throw this conference for the design community to come together. And so it literally was me in my bedroom making stuff. And here's one of the promos right? right? So we started building this, and by we, I mean me in my apartment and some other friends, started building Canceled Con as fast as we could. It was a great idea, and I didn't care about the execution, right? And we had time. And so started throwing things together, made a logo, started making social promos, and started getting this up, right? I wanted to go after all of the people who were speaking on conferences that got canceled and do a free online event one day for the community. Right. And so I even started repurposing a lot of stuff from the political campaign that I had done into this campaign to switch it over. Right. And so, again, if you have a good idea, as long as you have that good idea, however it gets executed, really doesn't matter as long as you're chasing that good idea. So got to pivot and retell the story a little bit differently. So eventually we went from having a 1 day event into having a 3 day event that was 8 hours each day. We had literally everyone come and speak, and we had a ton of the community come in and join us. We had Chutzpah Design decided to make posters for us. We had your friend Victor was in there. Victor spoke and hung out with us. So it was a really, really great time. And we were able to give back to the community because we were focused on the idea of connecting community. And regardless of how that happened, we were able to shift and make that a reality. We ended up having 4,000 people RSVP. We started streaming, and again, thrown together. It was just like two little Zoom windows and some text on white for 8 hours for 3 days. I got some costumes on Amazon. I got some confetti cannons on Amazon, and we went for it. And so we ended up trending in California, which is where I'm based, Canceled Con down at the bottom, with Joe Rogan. Yes, we did it. Take it that, Joe. And then we eventually started trending in the United States. We ended up having over 40,000 live viewers over the event, and it turned into something that really brought the community together. And so as you are working on these personal projects and trying to turn them into reality, when you are going after an audience or when you are trying to convince a client, partner on a purpose, not a product, right? I wasn't trying to get the community to like, hey, come watch my live stream. I want you to like buy my thing and like get excited about the services that I'm offering, right? The goal was to bring us together, and the purpose of this event was to bring us together and to give the design community the inspiration they need, right? And because I had that clear purpose, a lot of people wanted to partner with me on that. That's how we got people making posters. That's how we got speakers in. Everyone did it for free, and it was this incredible, amazing event. Now, the second time we did this, Canceled Con 2, that is when I lost my way. And I think it's a really great point in the talk is this idea of partnering on a purpose and not a product. I thought, oh man, we have like a bajillion people go to this first event. Let's do another one. And we can do like donation based and we can have like payment tiers and all this stuff. And it was like not successful at all because I turned it into a product and I didn't have a good purpose behind it. And so you have to keep in mind that when you are creating something for an intended audience, you need to have a purpose that you're going after. So 2021, back to birthday projects. I launched this campaign with Southwest Airlines, which is going to be the majority of the talk, which we'll come back to. 2022, easiest birthday project of my life. I just came out. It was great. I had to make this slide, and that was it. And a lot of people are like, hey, like, just design stuff, make your pixels. And I'm like, no. And the reason for that is that your perspective is your product, right? And I felt like that needed to be something. I had a boss tell me that if they don't want part of you, they get none of you. And if they want the brain and the creativity that you have, sometimes they need to take the rest with it. So I thought that was important to me. And again, all these personal projects turned into real projects. Pretty cool. And so I got to launch a Pride collection last year with our friends at Chiba Hut, which is really fun. Got to make these fans and hang out with a bunch of friends. Again, got to do all the photography, ground up personal project, which was great. All right, so let's talk about Southwest Airlines. That's why we're here today to talk about creating the big personal project into something real. So 2021 launched this campaign. For my birthday, I wanted to make a merch line with Southwest. I love Southwest, always been a fan. I just have great memories with them, and I had a story to tell. And that's the biggest thing about personal projects is you need to have a story to tell. It's so imperative to have the purpose and the story to be able to take people on a journey. So always market toward a purpose, not a product. We've talked about that. And then always write 3 chapters ahead. You always want to know what's coming next and what's the next point in this personal project and how to make it a reality, right? If you're just going page by page, then if an audience is following you, if a client is following you, you need to be leading them somewhere, not figuring it out as you go. So Salas tweeted this in December 2020 and was like, remember these little boarding passes and like the seats that face each other? And I remember this when I was a kid. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that. Those colors are incredible. Those little boarding cards are so dope. And I was like, hey, can I get those anywhere? They're gorgeous. That would be really cool inspiration for a merch line. Like, that would be a fun idea. And they're like, we don't have them. You can't. And I'm like, okay, cool. But also don't tell me what to do. And so my goal is to always do it for me, but let them watch, right? So when you're doing personal projects, when you're doing a passion project, do it for you. Do it because it makes you happy, because it helps you chase something that you want to chase, but then let the audience see it. Let the client see it that might hire you for that. And quality plus consistency always equals a win. So quality work over a long amount of time, sometimes a really long amount of time, always results in a win. All right, so on my birthday in 2021, launched this mock-up. So tons of mock-ups based on those boarding cards. Created a whole merch line and sent it out to Southwest, tweeted it, started posting on social, and posted this as my birthday project to myself of gifting this project to myself, the dream. Southwest said, happy birthday to you. Thanks for thinking of us. Great idea. We can't make any promises. Reach out to procurement team. And I was like, dang it, that's not what I wanted this to be. I wanted them to be like so excited and to join me on the journey and the story that I have to tell. And so they sent me to this page contact. I found the procurement team, and then I found 10 other emails. And then I went to those pages and found more emails and sent a PDF pitch to probably 30 different people. I was just trying to get someone to look at it that wasn't our friend Jen from social. Love you, Jen, but you didn't help. And so I wanted to make sure that it was getting to the right people. So I just sent it everywhere that I possibly could. Here's the middle part of the story is that you need to be the best kind of annoying. If you're going after a client, you need to be intentional, you need to deliver quality, but you need to be annoying so that they see you and they know that you are passionate about the purpose that you are trying to partner with them on. If you have an idea, make them believe in it too. I have so many students that come and want to do a portfolio review. And if you come in with your portfolio presentation at like 80% and you're like, so like I did this project because Ashley said that we needed to do this. And so like I put this in there and I think it's like kind of cool, but then like one of my classmates thought it wasn't. So like I changed it. Like I will stop you and be like, I hate it because you hate it. You need to come in at like 110%. Your clients always come in 20% below where you are, right? So if you're pitching it at 80, they're at like 60, right? Which is a D, which like kind of passes, but nobody's excited about it. And so you need to come in with as much energy and believe that you have the best idea ever, because then your clients will think that it's like pretty okay. Even if it's not the greatest thing ever, learn to pitch it like it is the best thing that's ever existed. So Southwest didn't bite. And so the next year I was like, okay, cool. We're just going to keep this going, right? I launched it in April and nothing happened. I kept pounding the pavement, didn't hear from anyone. So in September, I said, hey, I tried pitching Southwest on a merch line and they didn't say anything. So I'm just going to keep making new merch on every Southwest flight that I fly until they put something in the store. I'm just going to keep going, right? Quality plus consistency equals a win. So we're being the best kind of annoying, which is funny because my computer is doing that right now. So we're being the best kind of annoying. I decided that I wanted to keep Southwest on the hook and kind of back them into a corner. Again, I'm partnering on a purpose, and I don't think that they saw the purpose yet. And so my goal was to back them into a corner and make them look bad if they did not partner with me on that purpose. To say, hey, I have a story to tell, and I want you to tell the story with me, but if you're not going to, a lot of people want to hear this story that you're not going to join me on, right? So I started pounding the pavement on social to try to get an audience behind me to kind of like push that through with me. Okay, so continued to create things. And this is what I just said: pitch it like you stole it and launch it like you own it. You need to pitch your ideas like they're the best thing that's ever existed. And even if you don't have a plan, pitch it like you do. And then by the time you get around to the launch, you need to have a plan. So you can buy yourself some time, learn to pitch and be confident in your ideas. And that is going to take you so far. Your work can be okay, but if you can pitch it really well, it's going to be great. So I kept creating, and ended up creating like 20 some different SKUs of merch for our friends at Southwest Airlines. Just had a ton of ideas and kept going and going and going and wouldn't stop. So in the end, created a ton of different versions, and you can see them all on my Instagram. And as you see, some of these started to get more and more niche, right? We have like a travel bag, and then we also started to have like at the end here, we have a motocross helmet. And the reason for that is no one was biting. I couldn't get any contacts with anyone. And then I realized that the guy who runs marketing for Southwest loves motocross. And so I was like, hey, bro, how about motocross? So started tagging him in posts, found him on LinkedIn. He was a sneakerhead. So I started making sneakers, and then I started making motocross helmets, just trying to get someone's attention to pay attention to tell this story with me. So create all these pieces, and they sent me a box, and I was like, I did it. I got a box. And they reached out on social. They were like, we love what you're doing. So cool. We're going to send you a little gift. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be like they're making my merch. And then I got this box, and it had like a speaker in it, and like I got some free flights. And I made this whole video that was like, hey, everyone, you've joined the journey, and we made it. We got this box, and we're like influencers with Southwest, and it's amazing. But this is how I felt on the inside. I was like so disappointed that I thought that that was the end of their story, right? Southwest has kind of closed the book on a chapter that I hadn't even started writing yet. And so they sent me this box. They thought it was the end. And I said, no, 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 Southwest. We still have a story to tell. I still have a purpose and a journey to go on with you. And so I started getting reach outs. I started getting contacts from my local airport. They wanted me to do a merch line for them. I got some outreach from other airlines that also wanted to do merch lines for them, but I did not have a purpose with any of those people. I did not have a story to tell, and I wanted to stay true to the purpose of the project and the story that I had to tell. And so don't give up what you want for what you want now. This is huge as a student, and especially as you're like growing into your career. There's a lot of times that a big client will come along and be like, hey, we want this, we want that, but we don't have money. And you're settling for a project you don't want to do for the money that is not there because you want it now. Focus on what you want in the long run, and don't give up on that. Don't give up what you want for what you want now. Big difference between those two things. And so always be thankful, always be content, hear their preference, but fight for the purpose. So I keep pounding the pavement with Southwest, and I'm like, oh, cool. You sent me a box. You like boxes. Boy, do I love boxes. Boxes are my favorite thing that have ever existed. Let's do some boxes. So I started pitching them on creating a box together and adapting this merch line and this story that I had to tell of the connection to this post that they had made in 2020 on Twitter. On social. So I started posting on social and created all these mock-ups, and eventually they were like, okay, cool, great. We love doing boxes. We're big fans of boxes. Let's do boxes. And I was like, literally boxes is all it took? That's insane. And so we started talking and started mocking up boxes, right? And they were like, no, not that box. And I was like, okay, cool. But did you see all the cool stuff that I made? And this was me trying to be like, remember the merch that I pitched? Let's just put that in the box. I mean, like, if we're making a box, we might as well do the whole thing. And so kept pitching them on creating the pieces. And so they said no. And I said, okay, cool. But did you see that there's a boarding card that's a beach towel that we could send out to influencers like in the summer? And this is like the greatest thing for social that I've ever seen. And they were like, no. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And again, I'm fighting for the purpose of this project, but I'm trying to hear their preferences. And I can't understand what they are trying to communicate. So we try another box, and I'm like, great, let's go vintage. Let's go like torn paper, edgy. Maybe the angle is that we're doing like an artist series, and I'm like an artist coming in, and it's like artsy and cool, right? And they were like, yes, that's so cool to do artist series. We can bring in other artists. We can do this whole thing. And so then I created this like cool tote, and I was like, great, we're gonna like reimagine what this looks like as a collaboration. Scrap all the ideas that I was pitching you. Let's take your preference and chase that because I'm going for a purpose and I'm hearing your preference. So we made this bag. They were like, this is amazing. Oh my gosh, so good. And then marketing was like, absolutely not. We can't have the logo torn up. That's insane. What are you doing? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So at this point, I didn't know what to do. I was stuck and I was like, what do we do here? Like, I have heard your preferences. I have a purpose. I have a story to tell. What do we need to do to make this happen? I need you to sit down and listen to the story I have to tell and partner with me on that. And although I have a story to tell, I need to step back and listen to what you're saying. And we need to have a conversation with your client that you're pitching or you're chasing with this personal project to say, I have my story, but it seems that you have your story as well. Let me listen to what your story is, right? And sometimes a personal project turns into a client project, and then your story needs to have some space for another story to join it. So always go for the no, but take the yes. So push and push and push until someone says no. And if they don't say no, that means that it's yes until you hear actually like, no, we can't do that. No, it's not going to happen. Right. Southwest was never like, this is not going to happen. They were like, maybe procurement. Thanks, Jen. Right. Different pieces were coming and kind of trickling through and no one ever said no. So I just kept going, 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 and then eventually turned it into a sure project. And a sure project for me is when I have exhausted all of my options to tell my story and a client has their preferences that they want to push through, right? So preference over purpose. Sometimes that's the case. I always try to push for the purpose over the preference, but I want to hear what the client has to say. So I turn into a sure project. And what that means is the client has a preference and I say, sure. And they say, can we do this? And I say, sure. And they go, it'd be really fun if we do this. And I go, absolutely, greatest idea ever. And so sometimes good enough is good enough, right? We all want every project to be the best thing that we've ever made. Sometimes it just needs to be good enough, right? You're going to have, sorry, Ashley, you're going to have a lot of projects that you do that you just need to turn in. And sometimes they're amazing and they're great, but not everything can be your best work. Sometimes something is good enough and you move on to the next thing. Or sometimes something's good enough and then you come back to it later and realize that you have a different story, that you have a different purpose, that you have something to make it better, and you revisit that and reimagine it, right? No one needs to know that any project that you made was for a class or for a client, or that the class or client even used it, or that the version that's on your website or your portfolio is anything that's ever existed at all. Doesn't matter. Make it up. No one cares. There's no rules. So I turned into a short project and they said, you know, it'd be fun, croc charms. And I was like, yes, croc charms, so fun. Love that. Great idea. Love croc charms. And so we created this snack pack of croc charms that are on my crocs. And that was a part of the collection, right? So we finally got a yes. It's turned into a short project. What do you want me to do? And they wanted to go with this like retro style that's like hot and cool with the kids these days. So we went back and did like a 90s vibe. We did some bucket hats. Everyone loves bucket hats. And adapted what I'd created into what they wanted. We created this cooler that's just out of reach. And this is like the like 80s, like my dad went to the grocery store 5 years ago, kind of like cooler. Based on the classic Southwest Airlines. We created this bomber jacket, which is my favorite thing. This is the only thing that actually went through that I was excited about. And again, all of my preferences went out the window. I think the stuff that actually went into the store was the least strong stuff of all the things that I made, but I wanted to partner on the purpose and the products had to be whatever they were. So here is the takeaway from that is when you see a ladder climate, a lot of times we pass open windows and open doors and we pass ladders and opportunities because we're waiting for the next thing or we're waiting for something better or we're like, I don't want to like push it. If you see a ladder, climb it. And then if you're going to do it, do it. This is something my mom always told me growing up. She's like, I don't know if that's the best decision, but if you're going to do it, you better do it. Like you better go for it. And so I decided, great, Southwest has partnered with me. They are in, they are telling the story. I have compromised my part of the story for the story they want to tell. We're partnered on the purpose, and let's do it. So at this point, I reached out and advocated for myself as a creative and said, up till now, I've done everything for free. It was a passion project, but we are making products. They are going in a store and you are going to make money off of it. And because of that, I also need to make money off of it. And they said, that's totally fair. Let's do it. And so they said, we're going to give you some money for selling your products. And I was like, great, awesome. But one of the rules for my birthday projects is I can't make money off of it. It's something that's solely for passion. And so they paid me, gave me like $5,000, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much money to do so many ideas. And so because I knew that Southwest was not telling the same story that I had money now to tell that story, right? And I was maximizing my own potential and my budget. I knew they weren't going to do what I had in mind, the story that I had written 3 chapters ahead. And so now I had money and resources to execute my own potential. So, this was something we took. I went to like a Goodwill, bought an old VHS, and went to a parking lot with the prototypes of the products and just started shooting stuff with my friends. I wanted to tell this story of when I was a little kid like that, hanging out, getting ready to like go on vacation with Southwest, and those feelings of like sitting outside the gate with my little boarding card ready for whatever the next adventure was with my family. So we took all the pieces, went out, shot in a parking lot, and realized, okay, there's something here. Let's make it happen. And you can see that video, right? Yes, thumbs up. Okay, cool, great. So there's a big gap between could and should. And this is where your stories with personal projects start to deviate, right? If you have a client come in with a personal project or a passion project, always focus your portion on what could be and let the client dictate what should be. So in this case, Southwest decided this is what it should, right? This is what it should be. We have products. We need to get a scrim, shoot them on white, and have like a cool little cute thing for the website, right? This is what it should be. 100%. You have new products. They're merch. They're things you can wear. We should do a photo shoot on a white scrim. 100%. Yes, this is what you should do. But I had money and I had resources and I was maximizing my own potential. And so I said, what could we do? And so if you're not happy with the story, write something else. Again, everything's made up. No one cares. So just make your own ending of this story. So all the stuff that went out with Southwest was now deviating from the story that I was telling. And so I decided to finish the story how I wanted to and take my purpose and my experience and run with it. So I hired my favorite photographer and started doing a photo shoot. Again, this is literally in a Chick-fil-A parking lot. And so we got the vintage vibes. We shot in a parking lot and created this campaign that was not this, right? This is what you should do with new products. But this is what you could do with new products, right? You could capture that story, you could capture the excitement and really create something that the audience and the client hopefully is going to partner with you on from your passion. Again, we did the shoot, we did it on the white screen, we did what we should do, but we added the story, we added the purpose, we added the character, and really created something that was fun, that spoke to where the project was intended to go. This is me. I cried. It was happy. So set the context and let it inform the content. If you have an idea, think about where that idea exists. What is the context, right? The content here, a merch line. Everybody's doing merch lines. Everybody's doing collabs. But the context is it's the 90s. You're getting up early in the morning. You're taking a flight to Hawaii for a family vacation for the summer, and you're holding onto your boarding card ready for that magic. You're tired. You've got like a little snack. You're going to sit on the plane and play games and then arrive at this new magical destination, right? The context informs the content. And so this could be, again, the shoot on the white background, but the context is this nostalgia that we're creating, and that informs what the content is supposed to look like. So Disneyland does this the best. Anytime you're in Disney World for you Florida people, we're fighting. That's okay. I'm in California, so I'm a Disneyland boy. But Disneyland does this the best. Disney World is the best. I talked to an Imagineer once, and they said, Disney's so magical because anywhere that you are, you can turn 360 degrees and everything makes sense, right? It's all about the context. The trash cans are the content. The context is that this trash can's in Tomorrowland. It's a robot and it can talk to you, right? So setting the context helps to inform the content. Anywhere you go in any Disney park, There's trash cans. That's the content. But depending on where you are in the location, the context changes and informs what those trash cans are, how they look, and how they are incorporated into the space. So I thought, oh, the context is vintage. I'm going to create fake ads that I like found in my parents' attic, right? From the 90s, old things that I saved. I'd set the context, I had the content, and I was just going to let the content flow. And so because the context is 90s nostalgia, what do we need? That's right, we need a theme song. So my buddy and I were sitting in the living room, brainstorming ideas, and just allowed the ideas to come to us with the context of 90s. And so this is us like at 2 a.m. Coming up with a jingle.
'Cause it's the plans you're making, the trips you'll take. When life's too much and you wanna get away, you'll fly in style and find your seat. 'Cause it's sky-high fashion at 30,000 feet.
So brainstorming, coming up with ideas. You guys can hear that, right? Yes? Okay, cool. Little giggles. I saw it. So I was like, great, awesome. I have budget. I know a friend who does scores. Let's see if he can get on this, right? In the context, 90s nostalgia, got to have a theme song. Reach out to this guy. And we decided that we were going to make a promo video. My friends and collaborators who were in the photo shoot have 2 kids, and I wanted to capture that nostalgia. So I said, hey, everyone, we're buying everyone flights, the cheapest flights on Southwest to go to Phoenix and back in a day, turnaround trip. We're all getting on a plane together. We're taking the last 2 rows. I'm bringing a VHS film camera, and we're going to shoot an entire 90s like sitcom opening with this song that I have created with my friends. And so this is the promo that went out with the campaign.
Sky high fashion for you with Southwest. Wanna get away to somewhere new? Boarding single file, fly window around. Where the biggest smile in style. It's retro runway with hawk.co. You can wear every day with landing gear for all the crew. And you, Southwest.
So literally shot that in the airports, in the backseat of the plane, because again, we had the context, and now I'm just maximizing my own potential, maximizing my budget, and informing what the content is, right? And a lot of you are like, I can't do that. You probably have friends that are in music program. You have friends that write on piano. Why not leverage the people around you and the collaborators that you have to maximize the potential for the ideas that you've created? These are all the people that we got to work with on that, which is really cool. And so I didn't tell Southwest about any of this. And I thought that they were going to cease and desist. And so I didn't like share any of it until it was launch time. None of the photo shoot, none of the videos, nothing. And so I knew I had a story to tell. I'm going to tell this story. And if you sue me, that's going to look real bad on you. And so kept pushing. And decided that instead of getting a cease and desist, I need to get ahead of it and brief and insist and tell them what I was doing, what the story was, and hopefully have them partner with me on this. So at this point, Southwest started to partner with me on it. They saw what I was creating. They saw the story I was telling. They understood the context, and we got it in the store. So we got it in the physical store. We got it in the online store. We launched in July, and within a few days, we sold out. It was gone. So super successful campaign, and I feel like the story was told to its fullest. So let's look at some business metrics, because I know you all are like, oh, what is the like ROI on the KPIs for the RTY? Here we go. This is a in-depth analysis. Let's go ahead and look at those numbers a little closer. There we go. Sometimes you just have to do things to make you happy. You have to do personal projects to fulfill yourself creatively. This project put me on a creative energy that I rode for like 2 years. It really was my favorite thing. And it was something that I felt like I had a dream, I had an idea, and it actually happened. So Southwest then decided to partner with me on the story that I was telling. And they flew me out to headquarters. They let me wear their little mascot, which was really cool. And I got to hang out for the day, and I got to see my stuff in the store. I got to tour, and I got to create content with them and even speak on a panel. Also, this is my favorite GIF of all time. We got to speak on a panel about how to work with brands and pitch collaborations with brands from a creative perspective, right? How to make your ideas into reality when partnering with big brands. We had a big creator day. I got to see all my stuff. I wore my little jacket. The rest of the people were like travel influencers, which was like so weird. Influencers are crazy. And so it was a really weird day to be out of place, but it was awesome because I got to finally tell my story and partner with them on that. We ended up running a story in Adweek magazine, and it blew up as the evolution of Southwest fashion throughout the years. And I was kind of the end of that, of what the end was. And this to me was the culmination of the story I was trying to tell, right? Looking back into the magic of Southwest Airlines and how it affected people, and then landing now, how we can bring that back and really tell that story. So make up a story until it's real. If you have an idea, if you have a personal project, just do it. Just make it up. No one's telling you not to, right? And I have this in my portfolio on my socials. Southwest didn't hire me for this, right? This isn't something that's like, ooh, I was putting in my portfolio because it was a class project and it turned into something a client wanted. And here's the thing that the client wanted, right? If my portfolio was shots of like people holding a mug on a white background, no one would care about this project at all, right? It would be boring. It would be silly. It wouldn't have any real oomph to it, right? Because I made up a story on this idea, because I set the context and informed the content, maximized the potential of this idea, it turned into something really special. So how do you do that, right? We want to make up a story until it's real. How do we do that? 3 steps, maybe 4. I forgot how many slides I have. Examine the past. Look into the past. If you have a design history class, anyone design history? Hands? No? Oh, I'm fighting everyone. Okay, so if you have any resources to get into an online class, to watch a documentary about design history, learn design history. Learn where you've come from and how these systems work visually. Examine the past. Consider the present. What's going on now? What is happening within our world at the moment? What trends are happening, right? The reason we did this 90s trend is because 90s were like all hot and everybody's wearing bucket hats. And so consider the present and then create the future, right? So 3 easy steps. Examine the past, consider the present, create the future. What is the twist on this idea that filters the past through the present to create something new? Always form the context, right? That will help inform your content. And then we want to follow me on social. I thought I had one more slide, but we're just going to segue there. This is my social. If you want to connect, if you have questions, if you want to hang out, that's my socials. I want to finish with some lightning advice, and then we can do some Q&A. These are just like quick things that are good ideas that are in my brain that I need to tell you about. Shut up if you have nothing to say. You probably hear so much talk about like you have to be posting 3 times on social and do your TikToks and you have to hack the algorithms. Who cares? If you don't have a story to tell, don't tell anything. Don't just like post things to post things. I hate content. Content makes me sad. But if you have a story to tell, I will follow that content all day. Take me on a journey, lead me somewhere, right? If I can tell someone's writing 3 steps ahead, I want to be on that journey and I want to go with them. Call your parents. That's just good advice. Parents are cool. Offboarding is more important than onboarding. If you have a good client, if you work with someone that is a good experience, send them cookies, send them flowers, send them something at the end of the process to thank them for the work and offboard them, right? We do a lot of intake, a lot of listening, a lot of like discovery. Always offboard, right? Recap the project. Hey, here are the steps that we took. Here's how my experience was with you. I loved it. Absolutely. If you want to tell me any feedback, please do. Send you guys some cookies. Thanks so much for working for me. Do it for you, but let them watch. And this is the best advice anyone's ever given me. I was walking out the door one day and my roommate goes, make yourself proud of yourself. And then I like stopped and I was like, that's the greatest thing everyone's ever said to me. And so make yourself proud of yourself, right? Love you, Ashley. Love Victor. Love the professors. Their opinion doesn't really matter. Your colleagues, your students, everyone around you, their opinions don't matter. Make yourself proud of yourself, right? This Southwest project, Southwest ended up like not like partnering as much, right? That I had to tell the old story, but I was proud of myself and I was working to make myself proud of myself to execute the idea that I wanted. Yay. My favorite thing is that the audio comes through with like just the voices, and then the second clapping starts, it's dead silent from the noise canceling. That's great. I love it.